All right. GM, everybody. I'm Ellis. I'm the founder of Cracked Labs. And today we have one of our favorite weekly sessions, which is Founder Fridays, where we're highlighting crack founders across the crypto ecosystem and general friends of Cracked Labs. We are certainly not your normal incubator. And at the end of the day, we are here to, support the founders that are trying to ship products to change the world. Today, we're being joined by Peridot Protocol. Peridot is a lending and borrowing platform that is fully cross-chain. They are near and dear to our hearts, to say the least. And today, we're going to be diving into what Peridot's all about, some of the cool things that they're bringing to the table, what to expect in the future, and the general shilling of Crack Labs. So with that, we'll kick it off. Let's say good morning to Joshua and Rene. Joshua, what's up?
Hey, what's up? How are you doing, Alice? And thanks for having us here.
It's great to have you guys. Know that you have been busy, to say the least. You've been participating in the Axelar incubator that's going on right now, which is building out some of the cross-chain functionality on Peridot. But would love to hear from you guys. Let's start at the beginning. What's been the journey? How did this all come to be? When did you start working on it? Give us the background on what's the secret sauce, if you would, to Peridot versus some of the other platforms.
So when we start at the beginning, right? I am an avid DeFi user, and from the old times, a lot of people know it already. It's so annoying back then to bridge, to find a bridge, and then collaterals on one chain. And you want to lend and borrow on one chain, but on the other chain, the APY is high, and then you have to find a solution for that. And it always annoyed me extremely, right? So at the beginning from this year, we got together with already some big people in the crypto stack, and I told them, hey, what about a money market which is truly decentralized? What just with a money market which lets people use it from any chain and to any chain? And it's a really thought out idea, not only by me, but many people who use that. So we came up with Peridot Protocol. And well, what is a Peridot? It's a rare gemstone known for its clarity and protective qualities, which is a fitting metaphor for our mission. And that means bringing transparency, security, and usability to cross-chain DeFi. And just as a Peridot forms under intense pressure, deep underground, our protocol emerges from deep technical complexity to offer a clean, intuitive solution to fragmented liquidity and poor user experience in decentralized finance. And we as Peridot Protocol enable users to deposit collateral on one chain and borrow on another, all through a fintech-grade interface designed to bring the cleanest possible UX to the user and best experience for DeFi beginners and also for advanced users.
And on the collateralized loan spot, up to what LTV are you able to collateralize right now? Just so I know.
So right now, users can collateralize up to 75%, as I recall, depending on the asset, right? With stable coins, it's 75 to 80%, while with more volatile assets, for example, with Bitcoin, Red Bitcoin, and Red Ether, for example, or Monad or BNB, it's about 50 to 60%. And yeah, we want to bring more security to the user in that sense, because even Bitcoin can be volatile from times to times.
No, today when it's down 10% from the recent highs. I think that volatility just comes with obviously the territory, but to your point, and kind of what we've discussed a lot along the way, is that crypto is not the most friendly to the retail investor, right? And the vast majority of money retail nowadays still sits with the boomer generation, the older generation that's out there, right? So until we can fix some of these UI UX problems, we have these silos of liquidity that are basically just out there untapped, right? So walk me through, like you said, you guys kind of all came together beginning of this year, right? Give us the play-by-play of when things kind of came together. How'd you meet Rene? How'd you meet the rest of the team?
So we came together for the Solana Breakout Hackathon, funny enough. It started in April, and I've met almost all of them from the core team. I've met almost all of them there, and we formed a strong bond right in the beginning. All had aligned goals, and yeah, made up a really great team. Also, two other members which I've known already beforehand, which have been in the industry for quite some time, and worked with them together for the past almost like half a decade. It's really great, and we've produced a really great demo at that point. Went through not only that hackathon but also several others, and got already strong backing through that time to form this team and get together really closely. And it's really good to have most of the people at one spot, even if we work mostly remote. We have a high trust into each other. And yeah, after winning several hackathons, this trust only got bigger. And we were truly able and happy that we can create Peridot from not only like an idea, but actually to a vision, which we are going to bring to your users. And especially, like you said before, it's like the UX, which brings users, which is like where most of the users are afraid of. You tell your dad or your mom or your grandpa from crypto, and you talk about wallets and depositing and having to write down the seed phrase, most people already are completely blown away by it and afraid a bit, and then they already don't want to have anything to do with it, right? But it's pretty sad, because I mean, you can get either like how much, a handful of percent in your savings account, but on crypto you can get with your US dollar, which is like 1-to-1. You can get like, I don't know, 12%, 10%, even on a trusted protocol, and you're just losing out on money. And especially if you look at the inflation rate nowadays, it's really important to for most people to flip every cent. And how we can see also in like emerging markets, emerging countries, like in Africa, that like for maybe us people in Europe or the US, it doesn't make a difference. $100 doesn't make so much of a difference for some people, but for other people it does, and it's like life-changing money. And for them, like every dollar, every cent makes a huge difference.
I no question, right? Emerging markets can, beyond a shadow of a doubt, benefit from higher rates. So, look, 12% is three times what the market bears right now on a traditional savings account, right? By no means are we CPAs or financial advisors, but it doesn't take a genius to see that, like, if you diversify savings into some non-traditional places, you can earn much more significant yield, right? So, Josh, I've had you talking for a little while. Rene, what's up? Tell us about you.
You're still muted.
Ah.
On boss, yeah, still muted. Hey, yeah, thank you. Rene here, CTO from Peridot Protocol. Yeah, it was a pleasure working with the team. Like Josh said, we met at the hackathon first, and before that, I was working as a backend developer actually in different, bigger, larger German corporate companies. And I took all winter long and worked on the Solana blockchain to gather more knowledge on the blockchain, what is possible, to really dive in on the technical side. I've been in the crypto field for now almost 10 years, in and out, but just trying to make some amount of cash. And once I had some experience under my belt, some developing experience on the Web3 field as well, I felt confident in entering this hackathon with the team. And some kind of success speaks for itself from some hackathons that we already won. And like Josh already said, Web3 is crypto assets, investing in them is definitely already arrived in the wider ecosystem, in the wider for a wider audience. In Germany, last time I read an article, it said that crypto adoption is currently higher than stock adoption. That goes for Germany at least. Yeah, thinking of that, like you said, Josh, the assets, they are sitting, right? People, maybe they want to buy and they want to sell. But what is lacking currently is easy to use fintech grade UI, UX to gain yield on your assets. And that is what Peridot aims to do.
Nice. So a couple of things I want to touch on here, and then we'll dive into some of the particulars for Peridot. But it's interesting that you guys kind of defy the traditional narrative of hackathon projects aren't sticky. Hackathon projects are just like these weekend flashes in a pan. What do you think you approached differently with Peridot that is proven successful for the longevity that you've already started to see, the success that's already started to kick off, versus like other projects that are typically hacking right alongside you? You know what I mean? You don't see typical, but you know what I'm saying. So just pick that up.
Yes, that's a good question. I think like I can answer it also like for the focus for people who ask themselves the same question with their project. One of the things beforehand, which was important, is like yeah, everyone has to fail at some point in their projects in beforehand, right? And with that, you have to know that we have to learn from that. And especially with Peridot, I did in beforehand like the research about, does this project, is it feasible? Does it make sense? Is it even needed in the market? Because a lot of people have like really great ideas and they lack basically the market. They lack that the market even needs that project in the moment. That's the main of the problem. A lot of people like try to monetize something which can be put out for free, right? And can like monetize, and they can like survive by, for example, getting grants or something like that. And with Peridot, we, like I said, I did a lot of market research on beforehand. I've asked a lot of high people, gathered feedback, also not from like people in my close circle, right? Because if you ask your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, they will always give you a good feedback, right? You have to get like a feedback which tells you why your product sucks, why your product is bad, what needs to be good about it. And it's a lot of things I did in beforehand, and also did shift during the hackathon. We did adapt. In the beginning, we only had like more to focus on only the cross-chain aspect, and later on, it was told to us like, hey, why should it, like, what makes it different? What's the unique selling point, right? What's the main thing of your product? It can't be just be cross-chain. And that's why we saw, okay, the focus nowadays is with the crypto adoption, which is needed, is the focus on user experience. It's the only necessary step. And we see a lot of other big projects already trying to work on that step, how to be user accessible. One big company, for example, which always tries that, or is trying that, is Uniswap, which you can see in their wallet, which offers people to swap directly into their wallet. And yeah, that's one of the big things. And also the next steps after the hackathon is, even if you don't win anything with the hackathon, for example, right? Gather the feedback, work on the product, and see if that product makes any, like, does it make sense? And if you believe it makes sense, if you still get that feedback, work on it, and then work with these people who will give you that feedback, right? That's also one of the most important things. Get to gatherings, get to events, talk with people, learn a lot from other people, work with people. There's a lot of, and I think it's not only like crypto native, right? It's also with the with SaaS software, Web2, you really have to work not only with talented people, but you also have to find out about other products which you can work together with. Like one example is, for example, Rene, who managed to meet a lot of other like big crypto founders because he just visits events, and being in contact with them helped us as well to develop our product better. And there's a few things like the big work is after the hackathon, and you have to really invest your time in that. You really have to make your product like you have to make it bulletproof, I would have to say, but for that it has to be shot 10,000 times.
That's
Yeah,
a very, very good way to put it, right? And I think you're hitting on the difference, which is you guys approach this like a business and using hackathons as a place to do validation and kind of find, the beginnings of PMF. Simultaneously, you're doing the pivots that are necessary for any 0 to 1 startup, right? And what better place to actually do that and get that user feedback from industry experts than these types of hackathons? And I think that ultimately they are social events, right? So like you can use them how you want. 99% of people use them for social and networking. That's reality, right? But that 1%, like you guys, are using it strategically, which is the big differentiator. So with that, let's kind of shift gears a little bit and let's talk more about Peridot specifically under the hood and like what it looks like to be able to create a collateralized loan essentially in a different place while using the source funds on a singular hub chain or a singular chain, right? So like walk me through what it looks like for a user to supply, say, USDC on one chain and borrow against it on another. So like let's say Monad on one and Stellar on the other, for example.
For example. So it's really cool. There's one of the things which, of course, when implementing that, which we have to follow or are following closely, is the cross-chain infrastructure behind it. Of course, you can build it manually yourself, but we went like with trusted people. Like we're working together with Wormhole and Axelar, for example, and looking at their infrastructure solutions, which have been proven that they work, which make the flow also seamlessly. We also work together with other providers, which make the experience even more fluid and even gasless for the user, which will be really cool. Announcement shortly. But basically, the user flow looks like you choose what we say, Stellar. We choose Stellar, or for the easy sake, we take 2 EVM chains, where we take Arbitrum and Monad or BNB. And the user basically logs in with connects their wallet from Arbitrum, let's say native wallet. They see which assets are available on Arbitrum as well, because they're cross-chain available, because some assets are just not at this moment cross-chainable, yada, 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 which assets are available. He uses USDC, which is, in that case, cross-chain available. He supplies it, and he sees basically everything he would see like the user would on a normal lending and borrowing protocol, right? Let's say Compound, for example. And they see everything the same. The complete interaction is the same. They just press supply, transaction approval pops up, then the deposit pops up, and then they get basically the link to the cross-chain providers scan, like Wormhole scan, Axelar scan, whatever. And over there they can see the transaction. And of course, it is always dependent on which providers take, how long it takes, but they can see the transaction progress live. And when it's done, they basically see, okay, under my account, since it's like the same EVM address, or for like non-EVM addresses, you can encapsulate them in EVM addresses, so they have an equivalent of an EVM address, but they see under their address that amount is deposited and accrued under their address, just on a different network, right? From Arbitrum, they see they have the amount in there, even though they don't have it in their Arbitrum pocket, but they can still interact completely with it, because the receipt tokens which are used are still on the same EVM address, just on a different network. And if they then want to borrow something, let's say USDT, just as an example, they do the same progress. They stay on Arbitrum, they press borrow, the system sends the call onto the platform via cross-chain. The system checks, and since we have our front end, thanks to Rene, really talented guy, build a great front end, check it out. The user basically already knows if the transaction will succeed or not. And yeah, the transaction succeeds in that case, or in most cases, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do the transaction in the first place. But yeah, then you can also see the progress of the message going to Monad or BNB or whatever, the hub chain, and then they will see the progress underneath with the transaction going from the hub chain to the source chain, the chain the user is using, and then he sees the amount he wanted to borrow to Arbitrum is in his wallet after the transaction is done. So it's pretty cool, and depending on the network, this can take seconds. It can take a bit longer, but that's something which a lot of people, a lot of cross-chain infrastructures are struggling right now. But don't worry, we will have a solution for that, or we have already a solution for that.
Nice.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody can. Let's see, everybody knows the pain of trying to bridge assets in crypto. If you've been in DeFi for at least a couple of years, it is an utter pain in the ass, to say the absolute least. And it's good to see that you guys are solving not only the ease of use, but also the speed side. Rene, this one's to you. Maybe I would think, you'd probably get to ask this, but without getting too deep into the weeds, we know yields change all the time. For the Peridot money market, what type of yields are we talking about here?
Well, that depends, of course, on the collateral that is currently active. And that is also a good question because Joshua is the guy for the smart contracts. But let me get also back a little bit to the process of interacting with the Peridot protocol, supplying and borrowing. Of course, from the technical standpoint, those are all the things that happen in the background, right? But what we want to do is, and what we strive to do, is to make it as easy as possible. So while all these transactions are happening in the background, optimally, this all should only be for the user one transaction, only one click, of course, a one signed transaction on your wallet, and the rest goes through. Then, of course, you will see the timer. Does your transaction go through? If it is going through, perfect. You will see the assets in your portfolio, and you can borrow against those assets. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. And also gasless in the near future, as we said. Going to the APYs, which APYs we're talking about. So what we've done for that, what we've done with the APY amount is we said, it depends, of course, on the utilization of the asset, right? If the asset doesn't get borrowed so much, the APY, of course, is being lower than when people borrow it. But what we've done is we've did it so that the APYs are a bit higher, but liquidators get a little bit less bonus if they liquidate others. So, for example, the average APY we're looking at is between 12 and 13%. Only net APY on the same asset. We're not even talking about the reward APYs, which is also practically given based on the amount the user is currently, the amount of the asset which is basically used. For example, on Monad, what you're looking at right now, we have some assets which give like 0%, near 0% APY on the average user, because they are used a lot, but others give like up to 500% APY. And of course, it's also dynamic depending on what currently goes on. And there will be a nice reward model which also rewards loyal users in the future with a higher APY on the reward asset. But that's pretty cool. I would recommend to check it out. Check it out on Monad Testnet, and you can see it for yourself and test it out for yourself and BNB test it for now.
It's a good segue. So walk me through the tokenomics.
So tokenomics. So the tokenomics, they are a little bit NDA right now, I have to say. What I can tell you though is what you can do with the token, because it's going to be really cool. So not only is like, of course, a reward token, but we want to give utility to it, because just giving out a reward token or governance token in itself is like just not good for the user. Like, why should you hold it? So it's going to be a really cool model based on how much you've supplied our own token, the Peridot token, onto the protocol, up to like 10%. It's a proven model, and it unlocks like more features for you. So you will, as a base user, also get free transactions, but only as like small amount, completely gas-free transactions, and we will put the rewards also a bit lower for that tier. While on the higher tier, you get like more bonuses, like for example, I think it's going to be up to 10% of your supplied assets being the Peridot token. You get like almost unlimited free transactions which you can use. You will get higher rewards. You will also get sponsored rewards from like our partners which we're working together with. So not only our own token, but also tokens featured on our money market. And you will also get future features for DeFi instruments that we're using, which will also offset like basis fee points. Like for example, one thing which a lot of people know, which is on the roadmap, is like perpetuals integrated into the lending and borrowing market. So users don't have to withdraw and deposit on another protocol. On the web page, you can supply your assets once and use all the DeFi instruments at once. And for like perpetuals, there's like a base fee which will be integrated, and this will be like completely waived if you use like Peridot token with it. These are like some of the cool features you will see with the token. We're going to talk about 1 billion supply. Will there be of the token? This I can disclose, and yeah, more I can't say right now because of reasons, but you will hear about that very soon.
So we got a lot of cool stuff coming down the roadmap. It sounds like.
Yes.
Awesome. So we've talked a lot about this super cool cross-chain money market lending and borrowing platform. Tell me about you guys. Tell me the founder journey. What brought you specifically to this problem, and why is this team uniquely equipped to come at it and solve it? Excuse me.
Good question. So I think we both can answer that. Going at this problem, like with me, when I talk about me personally, since I've been like in DeFi, I've seen like countless DeFi protocols rise and fall. I've been in it for a long time, and DeFi itself helped me very much in the past when I started with crypto and I was struggling as a trainee, now up to the race, finally finishing, being done with college and everything, and like working for like a decade. But very back in the beginning, it helped DeFi and crypto helped me personally get out. Like my personal story is I couldn't afford rent for my apartment because Corona was in. I lost my job back then as a team leader, but like in the food sector, and couldn't pay rent, and I went all in, right? I went with my last money, I went all in on crypto back then. ADA when it was cheap, and Ethereum when it was cheap, and that helped me pay off all my rent and get like foot on the ground, right? So I completely focused on that, completely focused my life to get into the tech sector, because and since I've been always in a team leading role right after high school, basically, that's also I think I'm best prepared for them. I'm coming from a B2C sector, like a decade, leading teams, smaller, bigger ones, and also like doing a lot of crypto and DeFi products and programming myself. I've learned it myself completely for like half a decade. Started back then contributing to the Kronos documentation of the Kronos chain right in the beginning when it started, like just because you could just tell, hey, this needs to be fixed, and they implemented it. I'm really proud of that. And later on, yeah, helped also with other smaller industries, helping integrating like DeFi, NFT launches, creating lotteries or whatnot. So I have my fair share of experience in that sense, and also leading teams. And I think this makes me best equipped for that role. And also, yeah, I'm just a crypto nerd.
Yeah. Okay, then I'll take it from here. Yeah, as mentioned, I was working for a backend developer for around 8 years before I did bachelor's degree in applied computer science. And back then in college, or is that university in English, I was in class with some pretty Bitcoin hardliners, right? And they never sell their Bitcoin. Never sell, never sell. Right? That paradigm that stayed in my head. And once I met Josh, and he approached me with that idea of lending and borrowing, I knew, yeah, this is something that makes sense, right? You have an asset, but you don't want to sell it, but you still, of course, maybe have some bills to pay. Maybe you want to invest it in something else, or maybe you just want to use it as an instrument to short a position, maybe. And that really made a lot of sense for me. And what also made a lot of sense for me is where are the transaction fees and all the nitty-gritty stuff. Where is it going? How is it working? How is it functioning? And then that's when I started to really dive into Web3 on the technical side as well. And I usually treated IT and software developing, computers. They always were a hobby of mine, right? Always a passion, more like. But the jobs that I did, for the full-time jobs, they were jobs. There were something to make money. In the first 2 years, it was very exciting because, hey, new world, new work life, Scrum. How does it work? How do you work in a professional environment, right? About software developing. But after that, it became a little bit, I don't want to say a chore, but the fun was missing. And I was working with very smart people. I'm very grateful for that. But also, it was a little bit lingering in the air that we are doing this here because this is a job. And I knew and always did a little entrepreneurial stuff on the side of work and school. And I always wanted to, number one, work on something I find very interesting. Number two, work with cool people that I find interesting, that I really like. And number three, yeah, work. Was it number one? Work on interesting projects. Yeah, just work on something that I also use and where I see the value for myself, for the people around me, and of course, let's go there. Yeah, for the world, right? I mean, crypto, Web3, trustless. That is something. It's getting bigger and bigger, and it's what I love.
So I'm interested in some of the early decisions that were made. Like in particular, what drove you to the first chain that you integrated with? Was it conscious? Was it intentional? Was it part of the outcome of a hackathon? Like how did you guys end up determining which way to go? And then also how do you continue to make those choices as we're going?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me just say here, I'm passing it to you, Josh, in a second. I personally had most of Web3 experience, and there was so much volume, right? And there was everything going on, and we were all still am degen. And I was pushing a little bit towards Solana to at least for the hub chain to start on that. But Josh had some very convincing arguments to do something else.
Yeah, that's a good question, Alice, because we like Rene said, we had this discussion for quite some time, right? And it's a hard decision. And with chains we're working on, like we've been very grateful with all the chains we have been working with, which have helped us our side. But we have to look realistically in that kind of sense, because one of the biggest things, like how likely is, like, we want to see our product exist in like 7 years at least. That's the amount a product, a company has to exist to stabilize itself on the market in any field. That's what every expert says. So that's the thing. We have to see which blockchain exists in 7 years, right? And then the next question is, how much is the blockchain, like, what's the next step? How user friendly is the blockchain, and how development friendly is the blockchain for us? And Rust is great, and Solana does a very great job. I personally, like, we see a lot of things being developed in EVM faster earlier, and since Rene is more on the front end side and I'm more on the back end, it also makes more sense in the beginning also to be on the EVM side, because for me, like, I can spit out contracts on that, smart contracts, while he can focus on the front end, and we can like work together in that way. And with Rust also, he will take a bigger lead in that, but for now it makes just more sense. Instead of developing the real new, we can like work with the expertise I already bring to the table. And then the next step was being okay, like, for the developer friendliness, what is the most user friendly? And with Ethereum, I mean, I love Ethereum. I'm Ethereum diehard. but gas costs are a big thing which linger, and we cannot just ignore it. So we've talked with a lot of people which fall in this closer spectrum, also which chains are fast, because we need, with cross-chain, it needs to be fast, right? I can't wait 5 minutes for the transaction on the base chain to like go through, being pragmatic. And that's where we've worked together now closely with, I could say with 3 chains, we're working pretty closely together. One of them, we've got really great, like big thanks to, also mentioning here, big thanks to Solana and XTC and the support we got from them, and also with Sunil, a big thanks. But the biggest ones we're currently working with, which is supporting us also, and where we want to work closely with, is Stellar as a non-EVM chain, and Monad and BNB from an EVM chain, because just the support we're getting from the foundation or from the people which we're working with, which are from the chains, is just phenomenal as well. And that's basically how the decision came. There's been a lot of factors where we had to think about that, and yeah, this is basically which chains we're focusing on currently, based on which feedback we are getting and how they are working together with us, and what we think is like makes more sense for the survival and for the user as well. It's worst case, the chain is dead or unusable in a specific time frame, and then all of the work is done. And I think a lot of project owners know that exact problem, that have been on the chain from the beginning, did a great job and a fabulous job, and even the blockchain itself, the developers did a fabulous job, but for some reason or another, the blockchain isn't as big and as popular, and the volume and users just fade, and people suddenly can't pay their bills anymore as projects, and the project sadly have to shut down, and everyone at the end is disappointed. And we don't want that to happen.
We can see crypto Twitter reacting to that in real time. For those of you looking at this or watching in the future, this is coming on the heels of basically a crypto Twitter campaign, or not even campaign, just an acknowledgement that a lot of the leading blockchains that are out there are doing 24-hour volume that is less than what somebody in an emerging country would make in a hourly wage, which is pretty scary, to say the least. So anyways, moving off of that and moving more towards liquidity. Obviously, the most important thing for this is obviously the source of liquidity, and where better to look for that, or where is that right now in the market, other than mainly in an EVM kind of environment. Sounds like Solana's on the roadmap for the future. Is there already a live integration?
So we have like a proof of concept right now. We've done a lot of proof of concepts, and it's on the roadmap. And with our vision being, or how we will do that, for a lot of people who don't know, we've been asked a lot, like, hey, I see other money markets, other protocols, they need quite some time and a lot of liquidity to move to another chain and to integrate it. And with us, with our hub and spoke model, that's not the case. We can deploy, or we will deploy to as many spoke chains on day one as possible. So you will see almost all possible EVM chains being integrated right away. And then we tackle the non-EVM chains after each other. So for example, if we go with Stellar first, then Solana's, for example, second, because it's also both in Rust, and so it makes more sense shifting. So you will see that on the roadmap definitely, but first stay tight. First you will see the EVM chain integrations, and then we will see other chain integrations come shortly.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about user adoption. You guys just recently kind of came out of the gate, started getting users, started getting deposits, and you have that unique situation where it takes money to attract money, right? How did you go about getting your first users? How did you go about getting the first kind of sections of LPs? How did you approach that chicken and egg kind of problem, and give us an idea of where that sits today?
So that's a good question, because that's what a lot of people struggle with a new project. And one of the things is important to know which community you are in, like blockchain community or which field. And then we had to like reach out to aggressive marketing in these fields, right? So with Monad, for example, this is where we started out first, and we went. We had good contacts already, but also we got ourselves also some good contacts. So it's a lot of things which is like some people want to have like some security reasons. So the first thing we did was to try to get listed on the Monad ecosystem side, for example, the Monad Radar or Net Radar, what it's called, and went on public calls with people. So that's how we got our first users on the Monad blockchain from the Monad community, and also still interacting with the community. We're still everyone who'd like, or 90% of people who tag us or comment on us, you will get a reply from us, right? We're always open for that. We always can always text us. You can also always go into Telegram. You will always get a reply. We're community first, and that's I think the most important aspect, especially in crypto. And even before that, we talked with people. We got feedback. We went to people like, hey, even before we went on Monad, we hosted a live event during the Berlin Blockchain Week, where we co-hosted a rave, and everyone who came there got drinks for free on our back. So like you say, it's money first, of course, but we also don't want to go the conventional tactics of, hey, we pay this KOL an amount of money and hopefully it goes good for us, right? Because what a lot of projects also struggle with is that you do these kind of things and you get fake users, you get bots, and at the end of the day, you sit at maybe even 100,000 Twitter users, but you get 2 likes per interaction, just to show how much interaction on 100 impressions or whatever. And this like the ratio is off. So you as a founder should really get those power users, and it's better to have 100 real users than 10,000 fake ones. It's just because everyone who goes on your Twitter, check it out, right? And if I see a Twitter project with 100,000 users, 100,000 followers, but like I said, 4 likes, 1 repost, then I know it's just bots and it's worthless, completely worthless, and it doesn't mean anything. And that's for who we have to go to be organic. We're also going to write blog posts. We're going to do weekly AMAs now with our community, and also getting like inviting also hosts, etc. Just like you're doing right now, Alice, because I think that's the most important thing, right? Make the users, make the people interested, like give them information, talk with them, interact with them, help them in every kind of way. And I think that's one of the marketing approaches, not only we're doing, but also is a good way to do so. Be organic, be natural, be yourself, and let even the smallest person like have a say so. Talk to you.
I think a lot of people forget that communities are in themselves sources of liquidity for the actual chains that you're working with, right? So if the chain has done their work properly, these users are, there to experiment with and take their capital and collateral within that ecosystem and put them into projects, right? TVL wise, where do you guys sit today?
2 million. Yeah, 2 million. Oh, a bit over, nice. Over 2 million. It's what we're seeing nice. It right now. Yeah.
And you nailed it, man. It's like give me 1,000 real users versus 10,000 fake ones, and the longevity play always wins. So let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk about Cracked Labs Peridot, right? How did we end up getting together, guys? I think it was the Sonium Hackathon or Sprint where we had caught your attention. So yeah, walk us through kind of how we ran into one another.
So we like, of course, Cracked Labs, you hosted the Sonium Hackathon, right? And at the end, you contacted us and said like, hey, there's this cool event, for example, I think Permissionless, you said, in New York, what you're hosting, want to come by and meet. And that's what we did, right? That's what I think is really cool, that you also like told us, hey, this way can also show off a bit, right? And of course, not with Peridot, but with a different protocol to just showcase the skills. And I think what's really cool about Cracked Labs, like you said, it's like you want crack developers specifically. And that's also what was really cool talking about the hackathon. It was like only crack developers, and it was like a really cool experience. Yeah.
Awesome. And so we've obviously come to know each other quite well, and we love to provide opportunities when they come up to teams that we're all about and behind. What does it look like actually interacting with Cracked Labs as a founder on a more long-term basis? What do you think some of the values are that you've been able to derive from what we're doing?
So I always recommend Cracked Labs on Twitter with Peridot, because it's like you're doing really good jobs. Like keep an eye on Cracked Labs, not only for like the hackathons as like a new developer listening to this, or like a new person to check out, but also for like the programs which are being offered and live streams and informational content. That's really good and hands-on first. One of the things which, like, for example, like also how the hackathons, like just for example, being handled with permissionless, just is different. And also, like, for example, that there were hands-on first people from Suprachain, for example, which you could meet, which you could talk to, which could help you as a developer integrate. And that's one of the big things. And also the courses, yeah, the courses which were being sorry, my German slips out, which were being shown. Which were being shown. Yeah.
Cracks, we're just here to actually drive real opportunities to real builders. But if you are real in building a project that you think is worth the time to actually build around, then we're going to, like you said a little bit earlier, we're going to shoot it full of 1,000 holes and see kind of whether or not it stands up. And if it does, we're going to throw opportunity in your face until you basically tell us to stop. No real strings attached at the end of the day. And yeah, if you're a dev, if you're a founder, hopefully you're getting some value out of the content that we're putting out there. So like that's a good place to be. So with that, let's kind of move towards the future and kind of wrapping it up. I know we're coming up on an hour. Let's talk about what's next. Where do you see Peridot in the next couple of months? What are some of the most important things that are coming up on the roadmap? I know I'm going to kind of keep my mouth shut on some things that I know, but tell us where we are, tell us what we can expect, and what big things we can see coming down the line.
So yeah, good question. So what you can see in the near future, in the next few months, is our launch on mainnet. You're going to see that. You're going to experience it. You're going to have some fun. What you can already, we always recommend, check out our testnet application, because new features will be there also very soon. Again, I can already tease that, or when you can say that. We're working, for example, with dual investments, which is directly integrated. If you don't know what it is, you can basically, on a short time frame, tell, does Bitcoin or Ethereum go that high or that low, and you basically don't lose any money. You can only win the difference in between these time frames. It's like not like perpetual trading or so. That's going to be really cool. It's going to be integrated, and you again just have to supply your assets and can use it or not. That's some new DeFi instruments you will see, probably not right at main when we launch on mainnet, but shortly after. But on testnet you can already test them out. Also, I would recommend checking out testnet, because with our leaderboard where you can earn points for cool stuff in the future, you can test it out, rank up points just by logging in, right? Just by going on the site and connecting your wallet, and also by referring people. So in a few months you will see Peridot on mainnet, probably with cross-chain integrated with also not only lending and borrowing, you can do way more on our site then. And yeah, I think that's what I can say for the next months for sure. And also for the future afterwards, you want to know something, Alice? Or
yeah, I mean, hit me, man. You got some alpha you can share. I know everybody wants to hear.
Cross-chain perpetual trading, cool features like with our token. Like I said, it's not going to be there probably at release, but afterwards. Yeah, connecting non-EVM chains with EVM chains. Like, it doesn't matter if you use Stellar or Solana or Sui or whatnot. You can lend and borrow from any protocol. You're going to see us working together with other protocols. It's going to be really cool. Going to be able to not only get a nice yield on your asset for being idle technically, you can also have several opportunities to also increase even more your assets, right? Or if you're like feeling wild, you can gamble a little bit. But we're going to offer everything, and also going to offer our easy mode, which will give users the possibility to on-ramp fiat, go directly on. You will see a really nice, you will also see some help with that, with managing your positions if you're new, setting a stop loss and take profit. So it's going to be a one-of-a-kind experience. And by the end of the next year, for example, if we talk about that, or the end of maybe 2 years, there's like, you will see you will see no reason to use a SEX if you can use a DEX in that same way. And it's even easier to use, and even easier for you and for your parents, or who you know who isn't in Web3, to also use it and just earn money without having to care about all of the crypto stuff in the end. And that's the road we're riding on. And also to add a little bit to that, one of the questions you also had was we asked earlier, why are we building cross-chain lending and borrowing, and what should people build? Like, build something you want to use, like your protocol. And that's like, we are all just building which DeFi protocol we would want to use, or we are missing in DeFi. And yeah, I was the first user, and like, I will always be a user of my own protocol because it offers everything I want.
Case in point, right? I think it's we cracked were having this conversation internally the other day, or actually yesterday, about it's better to build something for yourself, and then if other people have value and it catches on, amazing. But that's kind of the best place to start. Well, with that, guys, I think we are coming up in time. So I'd like to, first of all, thank you both for coming out today. It's awesome to see the progress that's being made. Know that we have some things to work on the back end as well. So I would expect to hear some really sweet announcements coming out with Peridot here in the next couple of months, probably at the absolute longest. So again, right now we've got BNB Monad, we've got Stellar integrations live. You can check it out on testnet. If you're thinking about how to get involved with Peridot, Josh, drop us the Twitter handle, and how can people get involved if they're ready to actually hop on and want to bang around?
Yeah, check out our Twitter with Peridot protocol with one L at the end, all written together. I think it's going to be probably blended in here. And also check out our webpage, peridot.finance. Click on Launch App, log in your wallet, and you start earning points, and can earn already some future goodies. Yeah, check us out. But check us also on, yeah?
No, go ahead, Josh, sorry.
I just want to say, check out on Twitter if you want to see any events. Check out our community call. I think every Thursday it will be. And if there's another blockchain event in the blockchain week, which we had like a rave where every Peridot fan can come and you can get free drinks. Yeah, check out the Twitter. It's going to be the first message there publicly. Also, you can check out our Telegram group. The link is on Twitter and on the webpage, where you can also get some news and can even bug Rene to implement feature.
Hey, yeah.
Please do. Yeah.
So you heard it here first, guys. Check them out on Twitter. Hop on to peridot.finance. Check out the app. Hop on the Telegram group if you want to bug Rene. And there's also the Discord, correct?
No, right now we aren't on the Discord. Right now we're working on one, but first we're focusing on Telegram and Discord, Telegram and Twitter too. Yeah, and our future blog, which will be also down very soon. You can get some really cool information and learn about DeFi.
Amazing. So follow them on Twitter, set a notification, go on the website, and stay tuned. Well, with that, guys, again, thanks again for coming. Hope everybody has an awesome weekend. And again, I'm Ellis from Cracked Labs, and thanks everybody for joining.